Most people think winning an argument means talking more, explaining more, defending more, sharing more facts, raising their voice louder than the other person. But the people who actually control conversations do something very different. They say less, and somehow they still win. Because arguments are not won through volume, they are won through psychology. The moment two people start arguing, something interesting happens inside the brain. Logic slowly shuts down. Emotion takes control. The brain moves into a defensive state, and when someone feels attacked, they stop listening. They start preparing their next response. That means the more you push, the harder the other person pushes back. This is why endless debating rarely changes minds. You are fighting resistance. But there is a smarter approach. Instead of overpowering the conversation, you guide it. Quietly, subtly, strategically. The first technique is silence. Silence is one of the most uncomfortable forces in communication. When someone makes a strong claim and you immediately respond, you enter their rhythm. But when you pause and say nothing for a moment, something unusual happens. The other person starts filling the silence. They explain more. They justify more. They often reveal weaknesses in their own argument. Silence makes people expand. And the more someone talks, the more opportunities appear for clarity. Calm silence also sends another signal. Confidence. People who panic talk fast. People who feel threatened rush to defend themselves. But someone who pauses shows emotional control. And emotional control shifts the power balance in the conversation. The second technique is questions instead of statements. Statements trigger defense. Questions trigger thinking. If you say, "You are wrong," the brain hears attack. But if you ask, "What makes you think that?" the brain starts explaining. Instead of pushing your opinion directly, guide the other person through their own reasoning. Ask calm questions. How did you come to that conclusion? What would change your mind about that? What evidence would convince you otherwise? These questions do something powerful. They move the argument from emotional reaction to cognitive reflection. And once someone starts reflecting, their certainty weakens. You are not forcing change, you are inviting it. The third technique is selective agreement. This sounds counterintuitive, but agreeing with part of someone's argument lowers their defenses instantly. Most arguments escalate because both sides fight for total victory, but conversations rarely require total victory. Look for the part that is reasonable. Say something like, "I see your point there," or "That part actually makes sense." When you acknowledge a valid point, the other person feels heard. And when someone feels heard, they stop shouting. Now the conversation becomes cooperative instead of combative. From there, you can introduce your perspective calmly. The fourth technique is slowing the emotional tempo. Arguments accelerate fast, voices rise, words become sharper. Energy spikes. If you match that energy, escalation continues. But if you intentionally slow down your voice, speak calmly, and reduce intensity, the emotional pace drops. Human communication naturally mirrors tone. If you remain calm long enough, the other person often adjusts subconsciously. And once emotional intensity drops, rational thinking returns. Winning the argument becomes easier because the situation changed. The fifth technique is letting the other person feel like they reached the conclusion themselves. Direct confrontation creates resistance, but guided realization creates acceptance. Instead of saying, "That idea makes no sense," ask a question that exposes the flaw. For example, "If that were true, how would you explain the situation?" Now their brain must reconcile the contradiction. When someone discovers the weakness in their own argument, the shift is internal. And internal shifts are far stronger than external pressure. This technique has been used by great teachers, negotiators, and philosophers for centuries, because people rarely accept ideas that feel forced, but they gladly accept ideas they believe they discovered. Now let us talk about something deeper. Sometimes the goal of an argument should not be winning. It should be understanding. Many conflicts happen because people feel unseen or misunderstood. When you demonstrate that you genuinely understand their perspective, tension dissolves. You can say something like, "Let me make sure I understand what you are saying." Then repeat their point clearly. When people feel accurately understood, they relax. And relaxed people listen. Now your ideas have space to enter the conversation. There is also a powerful psychological principle called cognitive dissonance. When someone publicly defends a position too aggressively, their brain becomes attached to it, even if they realize it might be flawed, because admitting they are wrong feels like losing status. So if you push too hard, you trap them. But if you create space, they can adjust their position without feeling embarrassed. Quiet persuasion protects the other person's dignity, and dignity keeps the conversation open. Here is another subtle strategy. Do not respond to every point. People often present multiple arguments rapidly. If you try to counter all of them, the conversation becomes chaotic. Instead, choose the strongest point to address, or the weakest point that exposes the flaw in the logic. When you focus precisely, your response becomes powerful instead of scattered. Precision beats volume. There is also a moment in many arguments when the other person runs out of logic. At that moment, emotion takes over. They may raise their voice. They may repeat the same statement. They may attack your character instead of your argument. That moment is critical. If you react emotionally, the conversation collapses. But if you remain calm, the contrast becomes obvious. Observers notice it. Even the other person notices it subconsciously. Calm composure in the middle of chaos is persuasive, because it signals strength. Now, here is the final truth. The people who consistently win arguments are not the loudest. They are the most controlled. They manage their emotions. They ask thoughtful questions. They listen carefully. They speak precisely, and sometimes they say almost nothing. Because silence, clarity, and strategic thinking can dismantle a weak argument faster than shouting ever could. So the next time you find yourself in a heated discussion, resist the instinct to dominate the conversation. Pause, observe, ask, guide. The quieter you become, the more powerful your words become. And when your words become powerful, you no longer need many of them. If this changed the way you see arguments, comment "calm" below. Like this video if you want more psychological communication strategies. And subscribe for more insights that help you think sharper, speak smarter, and stay in control.